somebody at the door. I'll be right back. Hey, what's going on? Hey, it's really good to see you. Hey, I'm glad y'all could make it. Come on in, come on in. Yeah, everybody else is right in there. Y'all going in there. Hey, sister, what's going on? Hey, what's happening, bro? Hey, it's good to see y'all. Yeah, come on, yeah. So what's going on, man? It's good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here, bro. Yeah, all right, yeah. So, hey, y'all make yourselves at home. We're going to get started in just a few. The ladies are still in the kitchen right now, and my sons are out back there, making sure the fire and everything is good. But, man, y'all just have a good time, man. We'll get right started in just a few minutes. And thank you for joining us here at the Blue Family Passover Cedar. Appreciate it. Yeah, bro, yeah. Oh, that room right out to the side, yeah. You're better too. Okay, I'll see y'all in just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, hey, look, we're about ready to get started. All right, as you can see, the food is all laid out. We're having lamb tonight. That's a traditional meal. And I did want to talk to y'all about, the traditions and the misconceptions that go along with Passover, being a historical event in our culture. But the more I thought about it, and upon further review and consultation with my queen, I think the best thing may be to just read it from the book. Let's just go from the scriptures. Let's get a historical recollection and a complete understanding from the scriptures themselves. Is that cool with y'all? All right, we're gonna go to the book. That's what's up. Okay, before we go ahead and start with the biblical account, let's deal with this table in front of us. I know we see all this food and everything, and it is some significance to it. However, the significance ranges depending on where you're from. A lot of what so-called Jewish traditions are really Ashkenazi traditions, which means they come from the people they call themselves Jews from Europe. More of our customs involve the Sephardic region. The Sephardic Jews or Hebrews are the ones that came from Spain and Portugal, which in our history, we spent time there right before becoming slaves and brought to America. We actually got the name Negro in Portugal from the Portuguese when they were acknowledging who were black Jews or black Hebrews, they would say, or black members of Judah, they would say Negro Jews. But anyway, the plate is arranged in a certain way. It's a cedar plate, and it has all these different things on it, which symbolize the Passover from Egypt. So we have Mara and Kazret, which are the bitter herbs, which symbolize the bitterness and harshness of slavery that we had to endure while we were in Egypt. And most of the time we use romaine lettuce, both representing the bitterness of slavery, but also the bitterness of life in the ghetto as a result. Sometimes we use horseradish, which may be eaten as martyr in the fulfillment of the mitzvah of eating bitter herbs during the Seder. Kazeret is an additional bitter herb, usually romaine lettuce used later on. But anyway, in addition to that, you'll see the bitter herbs, romaine lettuce. You'll also see a sweet brown mixture sitting there. And this is where Karen is usually able to use them apples she likes chopping up so much.
Oh, okay.
It's something called cataset. And cataset is a mixture used of chopped nuts, apples, cinnamon, and sweet red wine. And we use that to symbolize the mortar and stuff that we use to build the bricks and keep the bricks together in order to build what we had to build for Pharaoh. Karpas, which is the parsley, you'll see that over to the side. Now, along with that is a container of salt water. We dip the parsley in the salt water, eating the bitter herb and the salt water. The salt water represents the tears we shed when we was in slavery. The Ashkenaz use the lamb shank bone, which they don't touch for whatever reason. We, on the other hand, adhere to the commandment, and not only do we have roasted lamb, but the commandment also says that when we eat it, and you'll see this, we eat it with our shoes on, standing up, our staff in our hand, ready to go. So the meal will be eaten. It's funny, this meal will be eaten standing up and ready to go whenever we get started eating. And they also use an egg. I don't think we ever used an egg before. I don't know something pagan about using an egg for this, But anyway, they would eat that instead of the lamb. So instead of having an egg, we eat the lamb. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, these are the things that we do and the things that we found that works best for us. And our families are different, but certain things remain true throughout the generations. So now that that's out the way, let's let the Father tell us the story the way He wants us to know it. All right? For the sake of historical accuracy, I will not be referring to the Creator by the unrighteous, unholy titles in the book, God and Lord. I will be using His true name. I won't use Lord because if you look up Lord in the dictionary, as you can see right here, Lord actually means Baal. Now, why does that mean anything to anybody? Well, B-A-A-L, Baal, is a Canaanite god that we were instructed not to ever worship. But here we are doing it anyway. And Baal means Lord. Ain't that crazy? At church every Sunday they tell you just trust in the Lord. And they're telling you to trust in Baal, a Canaanite deity. Ain't that crazy? Or even God. You see here, God means El. El is Baal's daddy in the Canaanite pantheon. El is not a righteous title, and neither is Elohim. Elohim can mean many gods or many demons. And if you go to the Ugarit, ancient source, they have stories about El, and one of them has him floundering in his own excrement. Ain't that crazy? And that's what El does. Baal's daddy, the Canaanite god, the filthy god. But he masquerades as the Holy One. Ain't that crazy? It sounds almost like the devil. Or the adversary, or Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. But it almost sounds like that negative energy that's trying to usurp the Creator and set His throne higher than the Creator's, because now they got us every Sunday in church calling on Lord and God, and those words mean Baal and El. It's crazy, ain't it? Even so-called chosen, so-called Israelites, so-called real Jews, authentic Jews, they run around here yelling Elohim. When all you got to do is look it up. It's not a pure and righteous title for our Father. And if you go by the ancient, it's Elohim. We don't use El. El is negative. El is wrong. El is Canaanite. And me being a man of Judah, a man of YAH, I rebuke everything Canaanite. But see, the problem is, when the kingdom split up under Solomon, Israel, the northern kingdom, embraced those Canaanite deities. They embraced new high places. They wrote a whole new scripture. And in the end, when archaeologists found them, they just combined them, not knowing any better. But they have an El scriptures and a YAH scriptures. And the YAH scripture came first. I mean, scholars will tell you that the E version or L version follows the outline of the older J version or YAH version. But in the L version, there are certain differences. For instance, they call them Elohim and El, which is totally wrong. But also, they play up the significance of the second son because they saw themselves as the second son after Judah or the southern kingdom. So, for this blasphemy, the Creator had them removed from the land, and they were never ever heard from again. That's the reason why anybody you see that's a descendant of the 12 tribes, most of the time they call them a Jew, because Jews or the tribe of Judah was the only tribe left that we can actually trace and know exactly where they came from. Because Israel was scattered to the wind. Those are the lost tribes, and they got scattered to the wind for embracing Canaanite gods to the fullest, breaking away from King Solomon, starting their own thing, and writing blasphemous scriptures that were self-serving and using names of pagan gods. So I won't be using Lord or God, Baal or El. I'll be calling the Creator by His name, like it says in Psalm 68:4, YAH. And I would also probably not use Israel, because we know who that really is. That's Jacob. They say that they changed his name to Israel. Well, if you look it up in the Hebrew scriptures, it's not Israel. It's Yasha'al. Yasha'al. That's what the word is. So Israel is just That's a word that I don't even really agree with. I know a lot of my brothers and sisters do, but we're YAH or Judah. So I will be using YAH, Judah, the Creator's name, and Jacob. The sons of Jacob, the children of Jacob, those are the sons of Israel, the children of Israel. You see his name got changed? Mama named him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. All right, let's get into it. And ain't no use in jumping around and skipping around. We're going to start with the beginning of Exodus and just get a feel for the whole story. I'm not going to assume that people know things that they may not know, and we're just going to get to it. All right? Let's do this. I hope you're having a good time. Exodus. Exodus is a Greek word which means departure, and is derived from ech, out of, and choros, road. The Hebrew title, the first words of the Hebrew text, Shmotz, means, and these are the names of. The book of Exodus describes the deliverance of, they say, the Israelites, from Egypt, their journey to Mount Sinai, and the events that occurred during their sojourn there. The patriarch Jacob had brought his family to Egypt to avoid starvation. Hush. They say when the Hyksos invaded Egypt and gained political power, the descendants of Jacob were forced into slavery. Despite the bitterness of their bondage, Jacob's descendants grew from a family of 70 into a nation of about 2 million. Hush. The primary emphasis in Genesis was on the family of Abraham, but the book of Exodus focuses on the developing nation of Israel, or YAH. The main theme of Exodus is redemption. The deliverance of the children of Jacob from the bondage of Egypt is a type of redemption. And Moses, who led them, is a type of deliverer, or even some may say, a type of Messiah. A new king in Egypt. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, or YAH, which came into Egypt. Every man with his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all of that generation. And the children of YAH were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. And there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Jacob are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when they falleth out any war, they also join with our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them in their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities in Pithom and Rameses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Jacob. And the Egyptians made the children of Jacob to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one of them was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, When you do the office of midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, giving birth, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Yah, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the man-children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, Why have you done this thing, and have saved the men and children alive? End of part 1.